Hello everyone and welcome to Studio Access. I'm Larry Walters and I'll be your host tonight. What would come to mind if I were to say fanciful flights? For those of you familiar with our guest tonight, you would say unique, original artwork. She is a sculptor, metal worker, welder, painter, and business owner. She has been described as a narrative artist and designer. And fanciful flights are just one of the many creations she's known for. Please join me in welcoming Karen Rossi. Karen, thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you for having me. In the early days of the trade shows, when I would be out on the pier, people would get off a bus because to get to the piers in New York, you have to, go on the bus and to get there from the Javits Center. And so a big mass of people would come through, and my booth was the first one as you entered. And there was a woman who was a fan of my work who happened to be Jewish, commissioned me to make a menorah. And the only way I knew how to make all these arms of the menorah was to go to the hardware store and connect copper plumbing. My dad had showed me that if you ever need to build anything, you can make it out of copper tubing, So that's what I did. Well, the thing turned out to be like that big and that tall. And I warned her, and she said, well, I can't wait to come see it. And so I had it on display in my booth. She came in, she said, Karen, it's beautiful, but it's bigger than my apartment. We live in New York. So
you needed a smaller one.
Yeah, she needed a smaller one. But what happened was these hordes of people that got off the bus, they came to see it, and they were oohing and eyeing and saying, that's a menorah. And I had a whole crowd of people around my booth, and this beautiful woman in this white suit came and slipped me her card and said, Karen, I want you to design Judaica for all 30 of our stores, 33,
wow.
Neiman Marcus.
Oh my goodness.
And I said, but they're really expensive. And she said, that's okay,
Wonderful.
expensive is good. So it was, and that's how it started.
What a great business opportunity, though. I mean, Neiman Marcus is so...
You can't do that in a business plan.
Right, you just can't. How unique. And how exciting that the artwork caught her eye. And she knew that would be right for her buyers.
I think the crowd caught her eye.
Ah.
She said, I said, well, should I send you some prototypes? And she said, no, obviously you've got a handle on the pulse of what you're doing. Just send me, 12 for each store or something like that.
Oh my goodness.
It was huge.
And they sold well.
Yeah.
That's great. Wow, very exciting. And I noticed you have another menorah over there, which is even more ornate.
Yeah, that is a crazy one.
That's beautiful.
I made. Thank you. Well, that could not have happened without the laser cutter.
I can see all the intricate vine work.
Yeah.
Is there a certain theme? This one I can see is a sports-related theme. Is that one?
That is a new version of my family menorah. So little kids like to come up and name each one. That's Auntie Mabel. That's.
So Karen, I noticed you also have another piece over here. Could you tell us about that?
That is a shelf sitter.
Literally.
Yeah, really it is.
That's very clever.
She has a little loop there. It's supposed to be bent over and hold a test tube. Sometimes I make them to hold a test tube so that you could put a flower in the test tube with some water.
And you even have a saying, life is a jungle and love is a flower. Live every day, you have the power. Very nice.
Wow.
Look at that.
I'm surprised I put that on it.
Flower girls. Well, that's great.
Wow.
I like that. And it's very colorful as well.
Yeah, well, it's been sitting around with that tag on it, obviously.
Now, you also have a large one here, the butterfly. Tell us about that.
Well, there is a wonderful family in New York, in Hastings on the Hudson, that have collected my work since the beginning days of my trade show business.
Nice.
She collects my originals, and I have made huge, wonderful pieces for her, and that will be going to her soon.
Wonderful.
Along with giant flowers and some more butterflies, and I did an incredible mirror for her, the side of her house, surrounded with a bouquet of flowers.
Wow.
Yeah, that reflects the Palisades and the Hudson. Is it the Hudson? What's the bridge?
Yeah,
Hudson River Bridge.
Right, Hudson River Bridge.
Yeah.
Did I hear you correctly? You said the side of her house?
Yeah.
How big is this piece?
It's at least 12 feet in diameter.
Wow.
Maybe bigger. It's big. I needed help. I couldn't do it myself.
And so there's a mirror, there's glass,
Yeah.
and this artwork is all around it.
Yeah, you can see it on my website. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, good for
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
And do you enjoy doing the larger pieces or more the small intricate pieces?
I like them both. I mean, the little pieces, you can get them done and get them out the door.
Right.
And it's a way to connect with people. I have always called them my little ambassadors. They're like little business cards for me. You know, they go all the
great
places that either I can't or I no longer want to go, but they go, you know. And the big ones, you can't ship those.
Right, you have to personally deliver this. And I noticed on the website you have, I guess it's the smaller items, you have just about every profession, every type of person, their interest. It's amazing. I mean, it seems like you're connecting with just about everybody.
Well, a lot of times I have requests. So, in fact, a recent one was a retirement piece, a retirement theme piece. So, you know, then I just work it into the line, and you never know who picks them up.
So is there one area that you like creating more than others? Is it the people? Is it animals? Is it the sort of inanimate objects like the mirrors? One of those more than another spark your interest?
No,
They're
it's always about what's new. It's not about, I mean, I'm being really nice and telling you about all this old stuff, but really it's always about the new challenge. That's what's exciting.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about what's going on now. Tell us about some of the things you're working on. I notice you have artwork studio, that you do workshops. Tell us some of these things.
I love teaching, and so in the local community, I'm able to teach at Gallery 53 through the Meriden Board of Ed, and then there's an incredible new facility that opened up in Southington that is a cultural arts facility. So we're just starting out over there, and it's just a wonderful way to connect with people of any age.
These will be classes you work on?
Yeah, I teach adults on Thursday nights, for instance, in Southington, and that's been ongoing for quite a while now. And sometimes you could arrange and make your own fanciful flight workshop. I do these out of my place in Norfolk as well. And those go through Education Connection. So I've been working with them for many years, from when I had the store in Torrington. And I get excited about I started a nature and arts program in downtown Norfolk. So the community of Norfolk is really small, and in fact, I'm about ready to start work on the mural project for them.
What's that?
It's a gift from the 6th graders to their school as they graduate elementary school. And there are 12 6th graders in the entire elementary school.
12 6th graders? This is a very personal project.
It's going to be really great.
What's it going to look like? Tell us about it.
Well, I have drawn Norfolk many times through the years, in both by hand and through Adobe Illustrator. And so we're going to range the buildings of Norfolk, which of course Infinity Hall is there, so that's a favorite building to paint. Or portray, and then the kids will be there. They have a community garden at the school.
Oh, nice.
So we'll be including that, and you know, just the agricultural scene.
And you said this is a mural, so I'm assuming this is pretty large?
I'm going to design it in Adobe Illustrator because I have the work done, so I can donate this to them.
Right.
And it will be printed on canvas digitally. From a wonderful place I found down in the Carolinas. And then it sticks right to the wall. It will adhere to the wall.
So will you be doing all the painting as well, or will some of the students be doing any painting?
We are also going to be doing some painting, and that's a separate part of the project. So in the entranceway, we'll be creating a rainbow over the doorway, and then I'll be working with the students to make flowers and bugs and whatnot, and a welcome sign.
So this is not only a gift, this is also an educational project for them to learn how to do these things.
Yeah.
Now, in your workshops as well, are these workshops ongoing, or do you learn a certain thing in each night or something? How does that work?
Yeah. Besides Make Your Own Fanciful Flights, we'll be doing mosaics.
Oh, okay.
So for the New York project, the commission, not commission, but collection that I'm doing all the work for.
Yeah.
I've just resurfaced a wooden panel door that has 9 glass panels in it and painted it red, and I'm putting mosaics into all of that, and I will be debuting that at a show, an upcoming show, and that'll be exciting, and if it doesn't sell, it'll be going to New York.
Okay. What about, that's an interesting idea. Have you done work at people's houses in a sense that you've gone and maybe decorated the doors or windows or something, maybe, I know stained glass is often popular in homes, but perhaps something like this? Is there an angle for that?
You know, not so much anymore, but in the beginning days, I used to do major pieces, and sometimes, not sometimes, but often representing the family members, do each family member.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, also, you mentioned earlier in the show a newsletter. I know you're working on social media and a newsletter. Tell us a little bit about that. How do you connect with people?
Well, I have a newsletter that goes out to about 4,000 people.
Oh, impressive.
And I'm always adding new names to it, or hopefully people are signing up for it. And, you know, whether it's an open house and a sale, or the latest show, or the newest thing we've made, you know, or something that people could make in a workshop. And even if they don't come to the workshop, I hope that the photos inspire them, and they, you know, they might just say, oh, I can do this.
Nice. You also mentioned that you have a new shop. Is it in Norfolk, I think you mentioned? Is it a metal shop?
Well, I've had the place in Norfolk for about 20 years.
Oh, okay.
So after my father passed, it was very difficult for me to be there. And what I did was I rented a brick and mortar, or a store in Torrington, which is where my father's relatives landed when they got off the boat. They were sponsored by Torrington families.
Oh.
And so I had many cousins. My grandparents each had 8, 9 siblings. And it was a huge family, and that was normal to me on Sundays to go to Torrington and have a big meal at somebody's house, all handmade food. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Really good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, I guess I felt comforted by that,
Right.
you know, thinking
Sure.
of being in Torrington. It did make me formalize all my teaching and workshops and make a lesson plan for things, because I needed to promote it. It wasn't like teaching for someone else, like at Gallery 53, where they promote the
Right.
workshops. I really had to, you know, get on the stick and make sure that people were coming. And there was no foot traffic, so these workshops saved the day for me.
Sure.
But at some point, I was ready to move back to Norfolk, and, you know, the traffic really wasn't there in Torrington. It was just one more place to be, and so I am back there now.
Nice.
And that's where the metalworking studio is. That's I've set one of the buildings up with the tables for the workshops, and everybody just loves to come. It feels like it's out in the boondocks, and it is. We're the end of my street it goes through the largest privately owned land mass in the state of Connecticut.
Really?
Yeah. So we've seen bear in the yard.
Wow.
Yeah. All kinds of creatures.
And I'm sure you have a bear in your collection somewhere, right?
I do have a bear.
So I'm assuming these workshops are times where it's a good opportunity to create, and your students can come and they can learn more about how to do that. And you focus on certain things like metal in some shops, perhaps mosaics in others. Is kind of theme based like that?
Yeah, the last workshop we did was metal flowers last
Okay.
Sunday. I do that one, you know, seasonally, usually every spring. And so we cut aluminum sheet metal roofing
Right.
material that you can buy at Home Depot into layers, pop riveted the pieces together, and then put a wire hanger on the back, and they used paint pens to color it. And everybody was really excited. They'd not ever used a pop riveter before, or a hole punch, that kind of thing. And you know, and then who thought you could cut sheet metal with scissors?
Interesting.
Yeah.
So are these like snips or something?
No,
Regular
just
scissors?
regular scissors.
Really?
Yeah.
Now these workshops, do you mainly have young students, or are they adults as well, or?
They were all women about my age in the last workshop, but on Saturdays I usually do the kids' workshops.
I bet they love that.
Yeah, Yeah.
I know community is close to your heart and charities as well. Are there some other projects you're working on in this area?
Let's see. Nothing I can think of off the top of my head, but there's always something's always happening.
Something always comes up.
In stages, yeah.
Now, I know before the show started, you mentioned something about the CAT project. Maybe you could talk a little bit about that?
Oh, I think that your assistants, your co-workers here, saw on my website that there is an article on my website about taking a project from flat sheet metal into a finished wall sculpture.
I see.
So for one of my open houses, I had documented the various steps of first, taking a paper pattern, putting it on the metal, just like you would if you were sewing with fabric.
Okay.
Tracing it,
Right.
then cutting it out with a plasma cutter. Then you have to clean up the metal, so that's a part of the process that is not fun and it's time consuming, but it always has to be done. Forming the metal would be the next step, like hammering it into a wooden mold or bending it. I have a bender. And then putting the primer paint on it, putting spray paints of various colors on it, and then finally the hand painting.
That really is a labor of love. It's a lot of steps to each project.
Yeah, and in between, with a wall sculpture, you have to weld a frame onto the back of it so it can hang onto the wall.
Now, I know we talked a little bit earlier about we wanted to mention the mermaid project. What's the what's the mermaid project?
So for some time, I've had an idea to open a mermaid factory in Florida.
A mermaid factory.
A mermaid factory. And I joke with a gallery that represents my work down there that we don't really know what the mermaid factory will be, but I am sure that I will be selling mermaids in it and that people will come to make mermaids in it. And so I had been doing my laundry and really frustrated at how gloomy my basement was. And I'm so depressed to go down there. And I'm like, this place is like a cave. And then I was thinking, what's so great about a man cave? And then I thought, wait, I want a cave. I'm going to make a mermaid cave.
What a great idea. It
kind of evolved. So when I first started making things at my parents' shop, the welding would happen at the shop.
Right.
And then I would take the pieces over to the basement of their house where they didn't use the basement. And I was able to hang all these mobiles and stuff from the rafters. And so I thought, oh, that would be really fun. And then maybe I'll start doing some workshops here right out of Meriden. And when people need to use the facilities, they'll have to walk down into my basement that's all fixed up with lights and mermaids and all kinds of things, and it could just be the little precursor to the mermaid factory.
What a great idea. Any flat screen TVs or other things like that typically?
I don't have stuff like that.
That sounds like
maybe
fun.
A disco ball.
There you go. Now, would these be small mermaids or life size?
There's not that much room in that basement.
Oh, so those are small. Okay,
yeah, and maybe someplace I have a mermaid mural kicking around, and that's going to, when I uncover it.
And a mermaid mirror?
Oh, yes. I have mermaid mirrors.
And then maybe some of these, we have these sitters.
I have mermaid shelf sitters.
Mermaid shelf sitters.
Yeah, you got it.
Right? So you can have one
mermaid
on the chair
menorah.
Next to you. So mermaids are now the new thing. We're going to see those across the board now.
I've always had mermaids, but.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but.
Big hair?
Big hair. Of course.
And green fins.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds
sometimes
like
aqua, sometimes purple.
Oh, okay. All right, good. Now, we also talked a little bit earlier about the Patel School. Tell us a little bit about that. What's going on there?
Well, I told you that we were making the mural.
That was for the mural.
Yeah, for Norfolk, yeah.
Well, speaking of Norfolk, you also mentioned farmers, the Norfolk farmers and the whiting mills and stuff.
Yes, well, I love the farmers markets. And they're pretty much going year-round. So during the spring, they're held, from January through May or April, they're held indoors at the town hall. And very early on, I petitioned that the artisans should be able to sell their stuff there because it was only for farmers. But I got that changed, and I'm so happy that I did because it's a wonderful way to connect with community.
Sure.
And sometimes I have little art projects going on so the kids can come and paint rocks or do something like that. And meanwhile, I sell my beaded bracelets and flying people, lots of mobiles hanging off the tent, and
Nice.
show off the latest project. Who knows what you'll find. My big flowers could be there, and yeah, and then people are there with goat cheese and microgreens and really great food to eat. So
Any other agricultural things, like do you do tractors or other
I have some farm scenes that I've done for puzzles and whatnot, and so some of those pieces will be incorporated into the Botel mural, but no, I'm more about my own thing. My tractor days are over.
You know, I guess it's a wonderful combination between artistic work that actually looks and hangs like art, and then you had some other things that are functional, like the menorah, like the mirror on the wall. Have you looked at other things or considered other things that are functional, like napkin holders, butter dishes, things that everyday type of thing that people would do at the home?
Well,
use at the home?
between the originals that I do,
Right.
I love making these fun little wine glasses with metal wrapped around the
Okay, yeah,
stems
right.
and beads and charms. But through arts licensing, I've done all of that.
Oh,
So
okay,
I've designed
a million things.
wine racks and all kinds of things, plate holders, and have a dish line, and
A dish line, really?
yeah,
These are ceramics?
Yeah.
So the artwork is embedded in the ceramic
Yeah.
and fired?
right.
Wow. And I know some of your pieces are now in a retired status, so I would assume some of these now are in the collector's kind of collector's realm, sold in secondary
Yeah,
markets.
people advertise it that way on Amazon and eBay, and I don't know.
Yeah, you're not part of that, but
No,
but,
I mean, I sometimes I look at it and it's a lot of hype, but well, I don't like to say it, but I mean that's the kind of thing that kind of takes over after you pass.
yeah, oh, I see.
You know.
But it's kind of exciting to think about that your artwork not only was enjoyed by at least the person who purchased it, but then it's on a secondary market and other people are buying it. So it it lives beyond even the first
Yeah,
purchase.
it's
exciting.
crazy to go online and see the stuff posted and
Wow.
wonder what was its path, you know. In fact, for many years I had a gallery in Milwaukee that represented my work.
Milwaukee. Wow.
Milwaukee, Wisconsin,
Wow.
and they represented my original artwork, and until I started doing so much arts licensing. But I would go out to Milwaukee once a year at the time of the, at least once a year, but at the time of the Harley get-togethers. So there is a big Harley parade, and all the Harleys from around the United States, of whoever can go, they ride their motorcycles
Wow.
back, or they have them shipped back. And I often thought, my God, what would happen if everything I ever designed or created or made all came back to like one spot? It would be
Oh my
so
goodness.
overwhelming.
Huge.
But it's
yeah.
pretty neat that Harley can do it.
Yeah. Well, maybe someday. Never know.
I don't know if I want to see all that stuff. I do like to receive pictures. Someone just sent me pictures of 2 murals I did for Timothy Edwards School in South Windsor ages ago. I had forgotten that I did them. And so a lot of times when I see people at shows and whatnot, they let me know that they have an original piece. I ask them to send me photos, and then I repost it. Because all that started way before Facebook or social media. I mean, I couldn't even believe that I was trying to download my emails from the server today, trying to remember how I used to do that on vacation, because you can do that with your phone now, and we're all so used to.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yes.
But it is exciting when you think about it that you have artwork all over the world. I mean, we talked about Hong Kong and Singapore and Thailand. I mean, it's exciting to have your pieces all over and people are enjoying them. So that's great.
Yeah.
I know we talked a lot about your projects and the ones that are done in the past. We talked about some things you're working on now. Any other future things that you're looking to do that you're thinking about now?
I sometimes think about getting a food truck kind of thing, only
Really?
having that be a roving art studio.
Mobile gallery or something.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, my friend of mine who has a place down in the Virgin Islands said that there's a very successful lobster sandwich guy. And I thought, oh, that would be perfect, mermaids and lobster.
Exact. Well, yeah. Exactly.
There is a food truck who purchased one of my kitchen pieces, and they hang it outside their food truck. But that's just one piece. I mean, I want to.
So pretty soon we'll see lobsters and mermaids all over the Caribbean trucks.
Maybe.
Oh, that sounds great. So if someone wanted to learn more about you, your artwork, how would they go about learning?
Sign up for a workshop.
Okay.
Go to the website, KarenRossi.com.
KarenRossi.com.
Yes.
ROSSI.com. Okay.
Sign up for the newsletter. It's free, and you don't have to. You can just look at the pictures and trash it if you don't need it.
Do you ever consult with other artists? Do people call you for perhaps advice on certain things? I was wondering if that was an area that people want to learn more, or they do it through the workshops.
No, I mean, people have reached out to me, especially when I was in arts licensing. Right. Everybody wants to know how to do that.
Sure, yeah.
You know, but it's really a matter of your connections. It's a matter of quite a few things. I shouldn't say just connections, but.
But today, with all the ways, like as you mentioned, your website,
electronically,
phone, it's so much easier.
Things are changing even now, and we don't even know it. Things are just changing so quickly.
Right. And so, and if someone wants to actually learn how to do more of this, the workshop's the best way to really learn, to really get that educational piece of it.
I think so.
Well, Karen, this has been wonderful. Any other concluding thoughts you have for our audience?
Just that a lot of people tell me that they don't think that they're creative, that they can't make things, that they can't do it. And I really always love to prove them wrong in the workshops. But it's really important to remember that as a child, you were able to do it.
Right.
And it's just as we age, we go into our different paths, and you know, we think we can't, but you really can. Yeah. And I think that there's an artist in everyone. And for me, it's a really crucial thing that if I wasn't creating, I would become very depressed. Kind of like runners get their runner's high. I get my adrenaline through creating. Yeah. And if people with young children know that and encourage that, I think it's really important, because, you know, people take in information differently, and sometimes taking it in visually is just as important as taking it in other ways.
Well, it's very inspiring. It's
Thank
exciting,
you.
and to see the evidence of your work and how you've taken such opportunity to create in so many areas. It's really wonderful.
You.
We commend you. That's really outstanding. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming, Karen, and showing us your artwork and telling us more about your background and some of the things you've been working on. It's very exciting. So thank you again for joining us today.
It's nice to meet you, Larry.
Same here. Thank you. And thank you for joining us today and learning about Karen Rossi and her artwork. We hope you join us again next time. So from all of us here at Studio Access, thanks for watching, and goodbye.